All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna. I pray everybody's doing well. The light is dancing with my eyes today, so I'm not turning on the camera, but hopefully my voice will be sufficient. All praise be to the Creator. I am here about to get into this. This is so enlightening. It has been for me. This is the seventh installment is of when you love them, but they hate you. Okay. Saul and David and so many things as we revisit this particular storyline. So many things are being uncovered. So for those who may be new, this is a Bible study, a Torah study, a scripture study with the intention of looking at the parallels of how people's lives unfold and some of the information that we can learn and pick up along the way in order to navigate our own life story. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and get started on 26. We're up to 1 Samuel 26. So far, a lot has happened. The tables have turned as it relates to David. I made some assertions as well as some observations from when Samuel dies to when David starts projecting and he's given to Nabal what I think, he wanted to, it's transference, what he wanted to do to Saul, but he felt held back. He went from 0 to 100 and went off on Nabal on the first interaction, right? And that's what people do sometimes in our own lives, or we do it. You're not able to say or do what you need to for the person who's offended you, and then you pass it off on someone else. A husband comes home, he's frustrated with work. It wasn't the wife, it wasn't the children, but he pops off on them. It's kind of the same thing. So let's continue. And the Ziphites came onto Shaul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hilkiah, which is before Geshimon? And I went over this before that. Without cell phones, without email, without Twitter, they knew they knew where everybody was at all times. It says, then Saul arose and went down, because he acted like he was sad when he realized that David could have done him in. And he made David, or he implored David to go into a contractual agreement with him to say that he wasn't going to harm him. But in the very next chapter, I might not be able to go long today. I feel my throat acting up. In the very next chapter, he's already still hot in pursuit of David, right? So there's some people who, when they get caught, they act as though, oh, please forgive me. And then given the chance, they'll do it again. Oh, man, I'm going to have to go get some water. Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him. Again, Saul, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. I thought you went into covenant contract with this guy. Why are we doing this again? And Saul pitched in the hill of Hakilah, which is before Geshimon by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. He must be like, this guy again? David therefore sent out spies and understood that Saul was come in very deed. So, people who you talking to, and it's like, no, it's all good. What's going on, Judah? No, we don't got no problems. We all good. It's all love. And in their heart, nothing nagasa. We got to be careful of that. You have some people who apologize for show, right? They may have harmed you. They violated you. In this case, in the case of David, he did it time and time again. Saul did it time and time again. And when Saul found himself in a compromising situation, he wanna get soft. David, my son, is that you? You know what I mean? He want to pull that move. And the minute he catches strength, this is what you call these toxic relationships that a lot of people are speaking of tonight, or today's space and time, right? And the minute he catches strength, he's back to the same old antics. It says, and David arose and came to the place where Saul or Shaul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Shaul lay, and Abner the son of Ner, the captain of his hosts. And Shaul lay in the trench, and the people pitched round about him. Like I said, this is some real, those some dangerous type people. You have to be aware. But I think at this point, David, again, usually this happens in a power dynamic. where you may feel as though if it's a mother or a father, if it's a grandparent, if it's a teacher, if it's a boss, usually this type of exploitation happens in that type of power dynamic, right? Where the person makes you to feel as though you should be responsible for the things that they're doing to you, right? And then they try to, hit you with the endearing words like, David, my son, is that you? When you let them know that, hey, I could have dealt with you, but I didn't, right? So let's continue. And David beheld the place where Saul lay, and Abner the son of Ner. I read that. 6. Then answered David and said to Achimelech the Hittite and to Abishai the son of Zuriah, brother to Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? What kind of question is that? And Abishai said, I'll go down with you. They're like, man, David, we ain't got we not on what you on. Let's go. 7. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Shaul lay sleeping. Shaul, you too old for this. You too old for this. You every minute you hear David is here, he's there, you pop out your bed. You know what I mean? You over here sleeping in the streets. You too old for this. Now you sleep in the trench. Look at you. Shaul lay sleeping within the trench, and his spear stuck in the ground at his bolster. You were sleeping on the job, brother. But Abner and the people lay around about. Then said Abishai to David, the Most High have delivered your enemy in your hand this day. He's like, again. You know what I mean? Like, stop playing. Now, therefore, let me smite him, I pray thee, with the spear, even unto the earth at once. And I will not smite him the second time. He was like, it's going to only take one time. Say the word, David. Abishai had enough. He's like, yo, I want to go home. I want to lay down in my bed. You got me running around in the wilderness for the longest time. This can all be over right now. 9. And David said to Abishai, destroy him not. For who can stretch forth his hand against the Most High's anointed and be guiltless? So even though David, stretched forth his hands for Nabal's widow, you know what I mean? Even though David was trying to stretch forth his hands for another man's substance, in this case, he's keeping it on the up and up. 10. David said furthermore, as the Most High live, the Most High shall smite him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and perish. So just in the same way, the 5th commandment says, honor your mother and your father. And you may very know that the person who brought you here is either wicked or they did wrong, but you're not the person who could put your hand to their destruction. You're not the person who could throw the first stone. And so I think this is, to a certain degree, what David is living by. He's like, no worries. He gonna go down, but it's not going to be by me, so that my hands will be clean. Because David's hands already has a lot of blood on it, and I don't think he wants to add this to the matter. 11. The Most High forbid that I should stretch forth my hand against the Most High's anointed. But I pray thee, take you now the spear that is at his bolster and cruse of water, and let us go. So he was like, yo, I'm not going to do him in, but he about to be thirsty. I'm going to take his piece. he took his weapon and his water. He gonna be unarmed and thirsty. 12. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Shaul's bolster, and how heavy? Saul, you too old to be in the streets like this, brother. It's past the bedtime. If he could come and you a soldier, you a warrior, and he took your water bottle and your piece, and you didn't even stir. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. You need to go back home. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's bolster, and they got them away. And no man saw it. Oh, everybody's sleeping, eh? Nor knew it, neither awakened, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Most High was falling upon them. 13. Then David went out over to the other side and stood on the top of a hill afar off, a great space between them. He's gone. Here comes David with the antics now. Here comes David with the antics. He in theater class now. And David cried to the people and to Abner, the son of Ner, saying, answer thou not, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, who art thou that criest to the king? And David said, Abner, art not thou a valiant man? So he's taunting them, right? And who is like thee in Israel? Wherefore then has you not kept thy Lord or thy master the king? For there came one of the people in to destroy your king, or the king your Lord. So he's taunting him like, yo, how did you let this happen? 16. This thing is not good that you have done. As the Most High liveth, you are worthy to die. See, David wants everybody else to die. What in the world? Because you have not kept your master, the Most High's anointed, and he's out of position. Remember, Saul gave him an armor bearer position. He was captain over men, so he lost his position. He's salty. He's running around. He's homeless. He got to be doing stick-up kid vibration to get food for his army that's in the street. It's a lot going on with him. And now see where the king's spear is and the cruse of water that was at his bolster. Now look. And Saul knew David's voice. Saul and said, is this thy voice, my son David? Why does he keep saying it? When they call you to come chase this guy down, you don't be like, I can't do it because it's my son David. Every time Saul got he talking about, is this the voice of my son David? I'm sorry, he is entertaining me. And is this thy voice, my son David? And David says, it is my voice. David is, I can't with him. It is my voice, my Lord, O King. And he said, wherefore do my Lord thus pursue after his servant? He's like, again, now that I got your ear, now that you're paying attention, I know I asked you this before, but what's good? For what have I done? Or what evil is in my hand? He really didn't want to do it. Like, I don't want to hurt you. I'm just trying to figure out what is your problem. 19. Now, therefore, I pray thee, let my Lord the king hear the words of his servant. Now he's like, yo, listen up. If the Most High have stirred thee up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Most High. David is also someone who's into cursing people a lot. That's why I said the other day, when you read the Psalms, you must be careful because David pronounces a lot. He pronounces blessings, but he also pronounces a lot of curses. Let's continue. For they have driven me out this day. See, he's in his feelings. He's in his feelings. Like Peking, I think it was Julian Assange. One of the guy who came forward and he disclosed some information. Now he got to be in exile because he was sharing what was really happening. So David is like in exile, right? And he says, for they have driven me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Most High, saying, go serve other deities. Because he has to be seeking refuge in all of these other places. He has to seek refuge in all of these other camps among all of these other people, right? So even though his name is known abroad, he can't find any peace right now. 20. Now, therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Most High. For the king of Israel is come out to seek a flea. Way to play it up, David. Just the other day, you was telling the bot, do you know who I am? You know who I be? So he's playing the humble. As when one doth hunt a partridge in the mountains. 21. Then says Saul, I have sinned. Oh, Saul, stop. We need the violence. David, where is your harp? Here comes Saul again. I can't with Saul, son. Here he come. I have sinned. Return, my son David. David, no twessy is sussy. Do not go nowhere near this dude. Sometimes people, right? Oh man, how come every time I start doing this, my computer start getting up? Sometimes people who have shown you, husband, sister, brother, cousin, mother, father, they have shown you that they dislike you. But now you getting hip to the game. You see what's going on. And they don't want you to get out of their grasp. So they'll play the humble real quick. They'll tell you, come on home. They'll tell you, come back. I'm not going to hurt you. Right? And deep down inside, kind of like David, you had a rough life. There was a lot going on with you. Deep down inside, you want to believe them. No trusty, you sussy. Don't believe them. Especially if they showed you that. Okay? So hear him now. Return, my son David. Because he already saw David's pain point. David was like, yo, I'm out here in these streets, bro. I'm not even about this life for real. And so he's like, no worry, David, come home. For I will no more do thee harm. This is how a lot of domestic violence happens. The man, the woman, or the man, because domestic violence happens on both sides. They have a blowout, or one is pursuing the other, right? And they lure them in with, oh, I'm not going to hurt you. Just come home. This, that, and this, that, and this, that. No trust you, sussy. Right? They just want to get you back into a space where they can control. So here's all now. After you've been chasing the guy for like 5 chapters. He says, I will no more do thee harm, because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day. You said that already. Behold, I have played the fool, and have erred exceedingly. No twasi you sussy. 22. And David answered and said, behold the king's spear, and let one of the young men come over and fetch it. David, 23. The Most High rendered to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Most High delivered thee into my hand today, but I would not stretch forth my hand against the Most High's anointed. So David is letting him know for the second time, bro, I could have got with you. For the second time, I caught you out here slipping. You chasing me, and you ain't even about that life. You understand? And so he let him know again, like, come get your peace. But yo, you gotta stop this. 24. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in mine eyes, so let my life be much set by in the eyes of the Most High, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. Yo, why? I'm sorry. We at the end of the chapter, and then we're gonna go on. But why David was like, if it's the Most High, is one thing, but if it's these punks out here, curse be them. Like, it's just this guy, man. Then Shaul said to David, blessed be thou, my son David. Yeah, he's your son now when you want to trick him, but when you're trying to pursue him, who is he? Your enemy. Thou shalt do great things, both do great things, and also shall still prevail. So David went on his way, and Shaul returned to his place. My. What do we think is going to happen next, peoples? Let's get in another chapter. Let me see how long this chapter is. No, twasi, not that long. Now, twasi, you sussy. How many minutes we on? All right, we're doing good on time. Let's go. And again, if you want to come forward and discuss all that has been in these 7 installments, I'm going to drop the link early so that I know. And then I'm going to go ahead to the next chapter. If you've been enjoying it, let me know. Like, subscribe, and share. And so that the word could get out and we could continue to have these important discussions. 27. And David said in his heart, he shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. Okay. He's like, yo, David's like, he's awoken. He's not smitten anymore. He knows what time it is. And he's like, if this keeps happening, this guy is really going to catch me one day. There is nothing better for me than I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. And this is what happens oftentimes with an abuser. Who is your main sustenance, who is at the home, mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, husband, whoever it is, right? You jump out of the frying pan into the fire. Now here goes the abuser, and he's reasoning within his experience that if he continues to stay here, Saul is going to get him. But bro, are you forgetting the land of the Philistines? So sometimes you may have an abused somebody and they figure the gangs are going to be a better place, or the corner is going to be a better place, or the drug game is going, you know what I mean? Because of what they experienced, they reason it can't be as bad as where I'm coming from. But bro, you forget that your name amongst the Philistines is not a sweet savor, you know? So in his mind, sometimes you're not thinking well, right? So he wants to not only escape into the land of the Philistines, he wants to speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. So you're running right into the arms of someone else. You killed like 200 just to get Michal. I mean, okay. And Saul shall despair of me to seek me anymore in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hands. So he's not thinking clearly. He's not thinking clearly, bro. Where are you going? Right? Because and the other confusing part is he does not know why Saul, every time he asks Saul, Saul doesn't tell him. All he says is my son, you know, but he doesn't tell him like what's his real problem. He's not able to communicate that, even though the text is telling him that Saul is in his feelings and he's jealous, but he's not communicating that to David. And that's also a frustration when dealing with somebody who may be misusing you, abusing you. You're not clear. You're trying to make sense of your experience and what you're feeling, and the person is not communicating effectively too. And David arose and he passed over with 600 men. So not only did you say you were going to the Philistines, you went there with a whole entourage, David, with 600 men. that not even discreetly, that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maak, king of Gath. And David dwelt in Achish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, even David with his two wives, Ahinan the Jezreelitess and Abigail the Carmelitess, Nabal's wife. You notice how I keep saying Nabal's wife, because that's who he was like, I shall be the Kingsman Redeemer, redeeming somebody. I mean, what's going on? And it was told, so, oh, my Father, help me. What? So Saul was Verizon before Verizon. Like, he was AT&T before my Bell. I mean, how does he get all of this intelligence? And David dwelt, no, I already said that. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again for him. Oh, you're tired? No. And David said unto Achish, if I have now found grace in your eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country that I may dwell there. He was like, yo, I'm tired. David said, man, I want to lay down, man. I'm tired, man. I'm tired for run up and down. He don't want to be a rolling stone no more. For why should your servant dwell in the royal city with you? Then Achish gave him Ziklag that day. Wherefore Ziklag pertaineth unto the kings of Judah unto this day. Very interesting. So he has some good rapport with Achish at Gath, and they're actually, even though, he was fighting for, I don't know how I feel about this. I'll continue. You're fighting for the opposite army, and then you come, and then you get accommodations, and then you make the request like, yo, you ain't got no land over there I could go chill out in? For real, LF. Saul had some intelligence for you, boy. It don't matter where you at. Saul is getting the 411 on you. Okay? Everywhere David was, Saul was sure to go. Okay? But he's like, no, I'm not going over there right now. I'm not going to the Philistines. So David's like, you got any Airbnbs over there in Ziklag? Because I'm tired. I need to go ahead and rest. All right. And so he gets it. And the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months. I mean, dude he was doing traveling, like he's abroad. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not coming back home. I get to relax. He set up camp out there a year and 4 months. You know what I mean? And David and his men went up and invaded the Gershonites. But David, I thought you were resting, David, and the Gezrites and the Amalekites, for those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land, as thou goest to show, even unto the land of Egypt. And David smote the land, and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep and the oxen and the donkey and the camels and the apparel, and returned and came to Achish. Oh boy. David, I don't think you came over to start any fighting. You resumed your natural tours of fighting in the people in land. I don't know. And Achish said, whither have you made a road today? And David said, against the south of Judah, and against the Jerahmeelites, and against the south of the Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive, to bring tidings to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, so did David. Covering your tracks, saying, and so will be his manner all the while he dwelt in the country of the Philistines. So he paying off Gath. He paying his tribute so that he can hide out in their land. And Achish believed David. David was lying, people. He misled him. He's like, where did you go? He was like, nah, we murked these people over here. No, you didn't, David. You murked a whole different set of people. It says Achish believed David, saying, he hath made his people Israel utterly to abhor him. Therefore, he shall be my servant forever. So Achish, what in the world? He was like, yeah, he ain't going nowhere. He just going to keep paying me every time to stay here. All right, that chapter was short, so let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and move forward here. And we are on chapter 28. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. They were saying, how are you over there? And they're fighting. Anywho, and Achish said unto David, David, know ye assuredly that you shall go out with me to battle, you and your men. That's why I'm like, you are behind enemy lines, Famzy. You are renting an Airbnb over there in Gath, and your army is fighting against their army, and you were actually the one who slew their giant from Gath. And now, what do you think is going to happen when you go to war? So now Akish comes and calls it in like, David, yeah, we about to go to war with your people, and I expect you and your peoples, who we've been feeding and allowing to stay here, to come. And David said to Achish, surely you shall know that thy servant can do what this. And Achish said to David, therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever. This sounds like some double agent, some 007 type vibes. And he didn't even tell him like, nah, that's whack. I'm not doing that. He was like, yo, you already know. 3. Now Samuel was dead. And you notice they keep saying Samuel was dead, but Samuel was already dead. And all of Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah. Huh? Even in his own city. And Saul, oh yeah, they're reiterating, because I was like, we read that already. So they're reiterating that the prophet is dead and people are doing according to what's right in their own heart, right? And Shaul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land, because Samuel would have been like, Saul, not a good look. You know what I mean? You got to get these guys out of here. 4. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Shaul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Shaul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. Oh, you was afraid of the Philistines, Shaul? And so why did you go against the guy that was helping you deal with them? And so this is what we do sometimes, or people do. They go against their own, who was aiding them in their quest, which makes no sense, but does it? So anyway, when Shaul inquired of the Most High answered him not, neither by dream, nor by Urim, nor by prophet. He's getting no word. He's getting no communication, because let's face it, he's been on the wrong side of the tracks for quite some time. 7. Then said Shaul unto his servants, he was getting desperate now, seek him a woman that hath a familiar spirit. Come on now, Saul. That I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. His servants also know a whole lot of stuff, man. They're like, yo, they knew that David played the harp, in the field. They knew that Michal liked David. The servants be on it. So the servants, even though he put the women with the familiar spirit out, these servants somehow, not only do they know where she is or who she is, they know where she live at. Yeah, she live in apartment 207. Yeah. I'm like, what? Hey, and Shaul disguised himself. Why, Shaul? Since you had the wherewithal to be inquiring of this person, why don't you just go as yourself and put on other raiment? And he went, and 2 men with him. So he had witnesses. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto him, not me, by the familiar spirit, and bring him up, whom he shall name. Are you that desperate? When Samuel was alive, you wasn't all the way listening. You wasn't doing what you were supposed to do. He was afraid to even go and seek out David, because he already understood what the problem was. So now that he's dead, this is sometimes we act as if, because the person is no longer accessible, what they say now has more. What kind of slackness is this with these hold on, I'm trying to get what in all of Bible Gateway, what kind of slackness is this on the side of my screen here? Hold on, how do I X this out? Bible Gateway, y'all got some questionable ad sources, fam. Hold on. How do I? Oh no, hold on, peoples. Bible Gateway ad choices is suspect, no? Yeah, hold on. The thing is popping around here. Yes, I know I'll be getting easily distracted. Let's continue. So, anywho, he's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's not getting any instruction. So he about to go to the lady on Church Avenue with the shop on the side. He about to go see if he can get some information. And a lot of people get tripped up over this reality. We were admonished not to seek people with familiar spirits, because Some people like that stuff is not real. It's clearly real in the sense of people have the capacity and ability to do so. But I like to compare it to back in the day, the black boxes. This is dating, but cable, when cable first came out, people had illegal black boxes that allowed them to get cable without paying for it. You know what I mean? So going to these type of people is kind of black box in a certain way. It's allowing you to get access to information. You can't validate the validity of the information, but you do get some type of information. And people resort to it when they either want to take matters into their own hands or they're out of spiritual alignment. And therefore, like we see here, that Saul is not, he cut off his direct connection with the Creator, because the Most High says in dreams and visions, shall he make himself known unto his people, right? So he cut himself off. And how did he do that? By sin. So when people are in sin and they're cut off from that divine connection, then they will seek other means by which to get instruction, right? So it's not, and it's not to say that it doesn't exist. It's to say that we were admonished not to go down that path. And there's a reason, because you can call, but you don't know who comes, right? So then said Saul unto his servants. Okay, he already said that. And he disguised himself, and then he gave him clear instructions, like, yo, whatever I tell you, do. 9. And the woman said unto him, behold, you know what Saul has done, how he cut off those who had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then lay thou a snare for my life to cause to die? She's like, what in the backside? You already know this is illegal. You know we can't be out here doing this stuff. Right? 10. And Saul swore to her, he always swearing, by the Creator, saying, how are you going to swear by the very same power that told you not to do this stuff? This is how far gone the mind is. By this very same power who told you not to do this, you are swearing. And then he's going to swear, as the Most High live, there shall be no punishment that happens to you for this thing. Saul is bugging. 11. Then said the woman, whom shall she bring up? You gotta be careful how you say and speaking this stuff in first person. Y'all get it. Who shall she bring up? This is what she's saying. And he said, bring Samuel. Wait a minute, brother. When Samuel was alive was the time by which you were supposed to be communicating with Samuel. Not while Samuel is dead. And by that time, you know what I mean? You don't go calling people, doing the Lionel Richie. I just call. Don't be calling people. What are you doing? 12. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. But lady, if you had a familiar spirit, you should have knew it was Saul before you called up Samuel. Like, that's kind of backwards. You were psychic. You were able to say that, oh, snap, this is Saul. You were talking to him and didn't know it was him. Mm-hmm. And the king said unto her, be not afraid. For what saw thou? He's like, forget all that. You know what I mean? I need to know what you saw. And the woman said unto Saul, she saw deities ascending out the earth. Okay, spirits. This is why you don't go messing with this type of stuff. You do not go messing with this type of stuff. You call, you don't know who's coming. 14. So she went and called one person. If we notice that, it says gods, right? I would have to look in the Hebrew to see what it's saying here. But he only asked for one. He asked for Samuel. Okay? He asked for Samuel. Not only did Samuel, quote, come, but she says, what did you see? She says spirits, plural. So once you open the door, a lot of people be messing around with this type of stuff. Once you open the door, you don't know who's coming. Okay, let me stay on track. And then I'm gonna come see the comments in the comment section. This is a cautionary tale, people. And he said unto her, what form is he of? Like, dang, you want to know a lot of stuff, don't you? And she said, an old man cometh up. Remember, she already busted the door, and all of these stray spirits was already busting through the door. And he's covered with a mantle. That could be anyone. Okay, old with a mantle. And Shaul perceived that it was Samuel. You ever see you on the channels or on the YouTube or whatever, and they have these people who talking about their mediums, and they're like, who do you see? And then they say, they see someone with an orange cloak. And they're like, yeah, that's Aunt Junie. How you know? How you know that's Aunt Junie? You know what I mean? So it says Saul perceived. She didn't say, "Oh yes, it's Samuel. He came and told me it was him, and the treasure was buried in the backyard." He perceived based on these two criteria: an old man with a mantle. That could have been anybody. Come on, Saul. Where do you live? Everyone wears mantles. Anywho, and Saul perceived. That means he used his reasoning to deduce that, oh yes, old man mantle checks all the boxes. This has to be Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed to the duppy. It doesn't say to the duppy. And he bowed. What are we doing, Saul? All things wrong. What are we doing right now? Like, and Samuel said to Saul, so people like, sister, say it's Samuel. Okay, it's Samuel's spirit. Why have you disquieted me to bring me up? So this person, though, this entity who's appearing as Samuel is like, yo, what do you want? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against him, and the creator is God is departed from him, and answer him no more, neither by prophet nor by dreams. Therefore he has called you and you make known unto him what he should do. Like, you are so disconnected and afraid to die, because that's what's really propelling him to do all of this stuff. The Philistines is coming. You're at war. What's your ultimate fear? Death, right? You're afraid to die. And you are afraid to die so much that you're willing to go to someone who has died to try to tell you how you're going to stay alive. Anywho, then said Samuel, wherefore then do you ask of me, seeing the creator is departed from you? He's like, and is become thine enemy. He's like, what do you want? So if that's all that's true that's happening, why did you do all of this? And the creator have done to him as he spake by me. For the most I have rent the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, even to David. So he pursued David. He did all of this. He could have repented, right? But he did all of this to try to prevent the inevitable. 18. Because you obeyed not the voice of the Most High, nor execute his fierce wrath against Amalek. Therefore has the Creator done this thing unto you this day. So we didn't start off at that story, but that is actually what was going on with him. He didn't follow simple instructions, and then everything snowballed from there. Okay. And maybe he had his reasons, and he didn't know that, something so small will turn out to be so big, but it did. 19. Moreover, the Most High will also deliver Israel with you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow shall you and your sons be with, oh, snap. He was like, not only, you want to come and ask the dead questions? He was like, I got something for you. Riddle me this. Tomorrow you're going to be on this side. What a message. He was afraid to die, and he's finding out from someone who died that, hey, your fear is about to come true. And the Most High also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. So you did all of this in vain, Saul. And you didn't repent like you should have, so that you could have actually kind of gotten your life back on track. Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth. He was already bending down. Now it looked like he just fell out and was so afraid because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he hadn't eaten no bread all day nor all night. He was fat. He was dry fasting. You know what I mean? He was dry fasting. He was over there playing dress up. He changed his clothes. He went and found the illegal lady. He called up duppies only to find out that he's going to die. And not only is he going to die, he's going to die hungry because he ain't eating. So this is just not a good look. Now, therefore, I pray thee, hearken also unto the voice of your handmaiden. Wait. 21. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said to him, behold, your handmaiden have obeyed your voice, and have put her life in your hand, and have hearkened unto your words which you spake unto her. Now, therefore, she's like, yeah, I did what you said. Now, and I probably heard what he said. She says, I pray you, hearken unto us. Hearken thou also unto the voice of your handmaiden, and let me set a morsel of bread before. This was his last supper. and eat that you may have strength when you go on the way. This was his last supper. But he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. 24. And the woman had a fat calf in the house. This is Saul's last supper right here. And she hastened and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she made roti and curry goat, fam? Or curry mutton? No. Curry beef. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. That was crazy. That's crazy. Let me come to the comment section. Ella says, my friend used pendulum to get answers, and I asked, how do you know it's not a coincidence, or if it's something contacting you? Yeah, this is the thing. People, because things happen, it's not to say that things don't happen. Things do happen, right? And because things happen, it makes people think, oh, that it's the answer that you're looking for. Like for Saul, something did happen. According to the narrative, he had contact. He had communication with these spirits. He actually opened the door for more spirits to come through, right? But he didn't like the answer. So, there's a lot of people who, over the years, I've tried to warn to stay away from certain things. And I've actually seen, not me personally, but I've personally seen the effects of people doing what Saul did, of opening doors because they're so curious. They want to know, but they want to know by illegal means. And just in the same way they went in the name to remove kind of that veil, because there is a veil between the spirit realm and the physical realm. And people forcibly try to remove that veil, not knowing the far-reaching consequences of doing so, right? And so this is definitely something that I think we don't necessarily fully understand. You know what I mean? People have gone into contracts or have wedded in a certain way their familiar lines with certain energy and certain entities that continue to revisit because people don't even know that they're in covenant with these things. And this is why we see, and one of the reasons we see that we are admonished not to talk to people. Let's go ahead and get that real quick so that we can understand that Saul was well aware that he should not have done what he did. And he thought it was going to give him an answer contrary to what was already said. People go to these type of familiar energies for, are they going to get money? Make this person love them, or they want fame, or they want whatever. Right? They want these things. But it comes at a cost. It comes with a price. And he was so far gone that he was willing to bow down before this, what in his mind was a spirit. It wasn't even the creator. It says, you shall not bow down yourself to them nor worship them. What were you doing bowing down to a spirit? All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 19:31. So we don't just sis, there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, okay. Listen. Deuteronomy 19:31 says, regard not them that have familiar spirits. This is why when Samuel was alive, anybody who had those type of energies, some people would call it clairvoyant, some people would call it basically the veil for these type of people are very thin. They're able to see and hear and interact with spirits, right? Some people call it their gifting. It's whatever they're inclined towards doing. And so they use this thing as a go-between. So it's not, to people who have this ability, don't always go out trying to seek this ability. But once they have it, then they can use it for methods that they should not be using it for. It says, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the creator of your power. So the Most High is telling you, listen, don't do that. Don't follow after these people. They can tell you information because you have monitoring spirits that are aware of what's going on. So they can tell you information that can wow you, because you're like, oh my goodness, how do you know that? You have people who may come up to you and just start volunteering information. And you're like, what? But people, if like children, where people do magic tricks, then you can be like, wow, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden you go head first down the rabbit hole. Leviticus Wayikra 20:6 says, and the soul that turn after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. So the message that Saul gets from Samuel, or the spirit of Samuel, is exactly what Leviticus says, that the person who turns aside, they're going to get cut off. So Samuel tells him, hey, you did this thing, you dying. You know what I mean? And you're dying soon. LF says, even though there's things in the Bible which understandably make people distrust the Bible, like the book of Romans telling people to give unto Caesar and government divinely selected, people use that to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah, and at their own peril too. I remember distinctly a few people, and when you tell them, because it's something that the people may want, and usually it's surrounded by knowledge. I mean, it's really ye shall not surely die. It's really the serpent in the garden type vibration, knowledge of the tree of good and evil, right? And when you tell people that, if they have a burning question, or if they really want to know something, then they will go through these means to get it. But it comes with a price. You know what I mean? It comes with the price. So you're warned in Leviticus and you're warned in Deuteronomy, because many of the cultures, as we know, the Egyptian culture. The other day I was doing some Bible study with the children, and we were looking at the difficulty. And then I'll pick this up another time. I'm just going to freestyle. I was trying to explain to them, in my estimation, why it was so difficult. And if you want to come to the mic, the link is in the box. Why it was so difficult for the children of Israel to get it together out of the wilderness, say three months out of Egypt. And when you look at how many generations, over 20, because we counted, if you're going to say 3 to 4 generations, 100 years, and they there for 400 years, right? You look at from generation to generation, for 400 years, you're in a place that is inundated with deities. So not only is it physically inundated with deities, the mindset of the people, it is woven into the very fabric, into the very culture of who the ancient Egyptians were. They had a deity for everything. There's one report that said they had over 2,000 deities. They had pantheons of deities. So therefore, the children of Israel would have been grown, even though they may have known of the power of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Coming from that type of culture, it is kind of like, this power is one just like onto the rest. And to my understanding, the way in which they interfaced with the Creator shows that they kind of had that mindset that, hey, this is just one among the many. Because in Egypt, they have their main deities. And this is why in my estimation, in my study, when you hear the conversation, the Most High is like, no. Don't put me in no categories. If you look at the first commandment, he's separating himself, because the mindset would have been, it's a category, it's a catch-all of deities. Which one are you? Right? And so when Moshe is tasked to go into Egypt, Moshe is like, you're going to have to give me something. You're going to have to tell me something. Then he says, you have to define, basically the Creator is defining himself, like the power of your ancestors, which to them, it would have been 20 generations ago. If you can think down the line, do you know who your ancestor was 20 generations ago? 400 years ago? Do you have their name? Do you know what they look like, what they believed, or if you even believe what they believed? I'm saying all that to say, when I change the lens by which I'm examining the text and why they kept falling, how long does it take somebody to change a mentality, right? Especially when it has been ingrained, not only in their mind, but in their very DNA, in their very genetic makeup. Some intermarried with the Egyptians and other nations. So when they came out, and not only did they come out, they came out in haste. They came out in a fight or flight type of situation. They came out with all of these things with them. You know what I mean? They came out with all of these mentalities with them, all of these uh idol worship thoughts. And
Hey,
so
what's up?
why the children of Israel was not able to do, what was that, LF?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
how you
Shalom,
doing?
brother. Welcome to the conversation.
Oh, okay.
All
Yeah,
right, all
thank you.
right.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to speak more on that point. Like about people rejecting certain things. Like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I'm not super like dogmatic about the Bible, and I'm not one of those people who be like, this is the unadulterated word. And there's no chance that this was ever, edited for anyone's personal gain or this, that, and the third. Like, because there's even a prohibition in there that says you should not add and take from it, which means that it's gonna happen, basically. You know what I mean? Like, for anybody to believe that
Right.
it's completely unaltered, it would be naive. I get those people's perspective too. You know, they don't want us to reach our full potential. You know what I mean? Like we could be so much more, but we have these things on us restricting us and people's beliefs and this, that, and the third. And it's just hard for me to. I'm not gonna lie. I like the young lady. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Like I've known her since I don't know, 14 or something like that. And I like her, but like when she tells me that stuff, I just be looking at her, and she think I'm like, I don't know, cause she told me in the past she's like that. I was like, I'm not saying you doing witchcraft. You know what I mean? I'm not the most churchiest person or nothing, but I try to explain it in a way that I've heard you explain it because you put it in very well. There's a process of doing things. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to put on muscles, I the best way to do it is the old fashioned way. And there's a way I could get the cheat code. I can inject the needle in my arm and I can get muscles,
Right.
but it's gonna come at a cost. And I don't know. I was
Right.
trying to connecting with somebody is not a what I mean. Somebody got to be willing to receive certain things, but
That's
yeah, it's
awesome.
just
So you're saying that you know someone and you like the person, but the person is doing possibly some questionable
she
things?
yeah, she like talking. She I don't know. She talking to something or she has a pendulum. She got a little thing she wears around her neck, and when she wants an answer to something, she'll take it off and she'll swing it. Basically, the way it rotates or spins, she'll get her answer. And at first I was laughing at her. I was like, you know what I mean, like how it's just the wind blows or something like that. And she's like, no, I know because how you know like if it's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? But how you know like if it's a good thing? She's like, oh, I know it's good because I
Right.
just I don't know. I couldn't get through to her. I was just like, all right,
You know, there's a
I
lot.
try to stay, but
There was a news report about a lot of African American. That's how they put it. Sisters who are finding their way, into these type of things because she's looking for, or they're looking for answers that they don't feel is necessarily coming from Christianity. So they're leaning on, quote, some of the old ways. But people don't realize that these are some of the very old ways that got the people caught up in the first place. So we're going back to old things and picking them up and brushing them off and blowing on them and because again I would say, like in the case of Saul, you don't get answers because you're disconnected. So people want to go around that instead of getting right so that you can get the answers. They'll rather take matters into their own hands so they kind of feel like they're in control. You understand what I'm saying? The pendulum thing, I've
and it's
seen
the
that in
whole. It's
times.
also on top of that. Oh, you have? That's the first time I seen it. I've never seen nobody doing that before. But I was
No,
like, oh, okay.
there's a
Um,
there's a gravitational pull um
uh,
that causes, you've
for
seen it even
certain
with
stones or
people.
something, right?
No, not even the stones. I don't know if you've seen people with the paint bucket where they have a big painting on the floor.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That
Yeah, I seen that.
and you see that gravitational pull when they push it, and then all of a sudden it starts going in a oval shape, and then it goes in a circular shape. It's the same energy magnetically that's happening with the earth. right?
Hmm.
And so people, when they don't know exactly what it is, they say it's the spirits talking to them. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
you it
that's
could
what I'm
go
saying.
here
How
or
do I
there. But
know? This could be superstition. It could be what you say it is. How do you prove that? You know what I'm saying? But regardless, I don't know. Like it's like a whole and I
is
get
that
it
the
because I'm. What's up? Go ahead. Go ahead. What
is
did you
that
say?
the only thing that the person does, or does it come with other? Does she come with
I
other
don't
stuff?
know. That's all she's told me, but I wouldn't be surprised if she did something else, honestly, because the way she was talking, it's like it's it's that whole get in touch with the ancestors, kind of like that Pan African type of
Mm-hmm.
belief system where this is what our ancestors did, you know what I mean? And I get it because I'm one of those people that's like I reject a lot of the new things, you know what I mean? But the opposite end of that is like the adoption of everything old is if like everything new is bad, everything old is good. And I think I'm like, that's not true, you know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
not true. It's not
I don't know.
true.
I just
Yeah, I think when people, the reason people, if you did something and it doesn't work, you would stop, right? So she has to be getting some payoff from doing it, even if she's reasoned with her mind that it's working or it's giving her the answers that she's looking for. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she has to come within herself, because if you try to pull it away and there's no real replacement, then she's gonna feel like she's undone to a certain degree. So it's
yeah,
really trying to if you care enough, or if like Tertia is saying, run from her. If you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, whatever she may be in contact with, she has to be careful. You know what I mean?
yeah. I don't know.
Because people keep saying they're getting in touch with ancestors. We just read about Saul. He was getting in touch with the ancestors, and he had a message for him. You know what I mean? Some
yeah.
stuff you need to leave alone. Some stuff you need to leave alone.
Yeah, I ultimately though, I hear what you're saying. I do care, but it doesn't really matter what I care. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be on the individual. So
Yeah.
I can't force it down somebody's throat.
And just in my experience, but people I've known, the more you try to admonish them, I think once the blood is off your hands, once you say, hey, and I've had to say, hey, that thing you messing with, I don't think you shouldn't mess with that. You
Yeah,
know? I've had people, I've one sister, she was cool and she wanted to do business with the yummy, you know what I mean? And I was providing her with juices and things of that nature. One day I went and sat down and had a conversation with her. This is a true story, right? So I'm serious with mine. I'm talking to the sister, and she was like, "Yeah, because at her house she has an altar." And I said, "Whoa, whoa!" I said, "You have what?" And she's like, "Oh, because the people told her to do." I said, "Yo, yo, yo." Now people will be like, "Oh, it's about money. I'm not gonna say nothing. It's about this. I'm not gonna say nothing." I'm like, "Nah, bruh. You shouldn't be doing that." And she looked at
yeah,
me like, she looked at me like, "What?" I was like, "Yo, that's a bad look." And sis never called me again. And it is
Sure,
what
I
it
had to learn the
is.
hard way. I actually went into business with somebody just off of the fact like, oh, my brother was like, hey, you guys should, you should talk to my homie, this, that, and third. And I realized later, I was like, if I had took the time and actually sat down with the individual and try to see our
Mm-hmm.
personalities meshing, because us just having the goal of we want to make money, everybody has that goal. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like that's not something original. But if I had actually sat down with the individual, I probably would have never even entered into what I did with the guy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's something
Because you're
that I
entering
learned.
into
You know what I mean?
covenant. It's a even
Yeah,
if it's business, if it's personal, you shake hands, you agree, you're entering into a covenant with the person.
yeah,
You understand? This is why we saw Saul looked at David as, David, enter into a covenant with me and say that you won't do this thing. You understand what I'm saying? So when I saw that the person was like, and she admitted it, because I was really considering, and I was like, nah, fam, I can't get down like that. You know what I mean? We
yeah,
have to. It's a line man out here. So it could be people we love or people who's real cool. Because the sister was cool, but we still have to be circumspect. Because again, those
yeah.
things, spirits are transferable. This is what I want to say to you, I love. Spirits are transferable. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
And so what she may be doing, I have another crazy story. One lady, one time she gave me something, and the thing was, once she gave it to me, I felt energy transfer and it wasn't good. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And I was like, oh no, this is not a good look. And next time I saw her, I had to talk to her. Like, yo, you, because sometimes people will know that they're troubled by these type of spirits and they won't tell you. And if you don't have this intuition, you won't know.
I should probably
You
be a
know.
little bit more mindful of that because I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a go against the grain type of person. You know what I'm saying? So the government tells me don't shake no hands. I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? I do the exact opposite just because they told me not to do it. I'm the type of person just to do it. You know what I'm saying? You know they were telling us that a couple years ago and even now. But maybe I should be more mindful of that type of stuff. It reminds
Yeah,
me of
the
a
shaking of
conversation
the
I was
hands
just having.
thing. Yeah, the
Hmm.
shaking of the hands thing, definitely. This is why you see some cultures do not shake your hand.
Oh yeah.
They bow. Some Oriental cultures,
Oh,
you're
that's
not
true.
touching
Yeah, yeah,
them.
yeah.
You're not
That's
touching them.
true. I didn't even think about that. I was gonna ask you who, but yeah, that's true. They keep their
Yeah, they
distance.
are bowing. You are not touching,
Uh,
because you think about what your hands do, right? I have shaken people's hands that I literally felt power go from my hand. Literally. Like, I could feel that type of stuff. I don't like any and anybody. I don't like shaking it. I'm like, whoa. I could tell automatically, like, this person is into something.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And once you really get in tune, I'm not saying run around be afraid of people, this, that, and the third. It's just to be mindful that there's a lot. People are putting their hands to a lot of things that if they're willing to show you this, what are they not showing you?
mhm.
You know what I mean? What are you not? Okay, you over here looking at pendulums swinging. What are you not telling me?
Yeah, no,
You
that's
know what I
true.
mean?
That's true. Me
That's a
and my
question. I
friends,
hope some of the people they putting altars up at their houses and doing weird stuff. Like, yo, what are you
yeah,
doing?
we was having
What
a
are-
conversation at my homie's house because he was talking about I don't know one of my friends was talking about some lady he liked or something like that, right? And
mm,
the conversation it moved towards okay, no, okay, two of them were talking. Two of my homies were talking about um having relations basically and not being invested in it. You know what I'm saying? So I brought it to
mm-hmm.
the conversation. Then this is something. This is not my thought. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something that one of them had told me when we were younger. So it was surprising to me that he had completely forgot about this because I never had this idea introduced to me until he said it when we was like 14 or 15 or 13. I
Oh
don't
wow.
remember how old we were, but he was talking about what's they call it? What do they call it? Soul ties, right? He didn't put it
Mm-hmm.
in that words, but he that's what he was talking about, right? So I brought that up and I offered that to the conversation, and it was like, yeah, you know what, you're right, you're right. But then they went right back to yeah, but anyways, you ain't gotta, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta spend time with her. You could just. I was like, what? Hold on a second. You saying that you're not gonna invest nothing, but you are invest. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
use the analogy of the. I don't know. I think I got it from you. The water, right? The dirty cups of water, or you mix it with everybody, and pretty soon you got a cloudy cup of water. And
Yeah.
there was like, yeah. But anyways, like I was, I was like, all
Right,
right, let
because
me shut up.
because that was sometimes when you drop something that heavy in the midst of everybody, that's called for accountability. You know what I mean? So them
Yeah.
skipping over is like, if I really consider this, then I'm gonna have to be accountable to all of these things that I'm actually doing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
and I
like,
was telling him, I was
you're
like,
right, but
I'm not
nah.
even, I'm not, yeah, and I was telling him, I was like, I'm not trying to come into y'all like I'm a saint, like I'm better than y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like I've made the same mistakes y'all make, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I think we should talk about this at least.
Yeah, the men need to understand that these I'm gonna definitely come back. I've been wanting to do it. It's just so much going on that these
Hmm.
women's wombs that they keep entering into, right? It's similar to why they don't let you bring back, plant matter oftentimes from different cultures or different places. Because then it will introduce other things into the soil, and they want to do it in a controlled way. You know what I mean? And that's just the plant kingdom. But spiritually, you are binding yourself to somebody who's bound themselves to somebody else. And it's crazy. This is why there's so much confusion. There's so much confusion in the earth because people are just binding themselves every which way. And because it's cool, or so they
Yeah,
say, they keep doing it.
yeah.
But like you said, if you kept introducing this type of thought, either they're gonna say, "LF, you can't come around no more," or they're gonna say, "You know what?" They're gonna be like, "You know what? He got a
Yeah.
point."
No, I'm that type of dude. They know me. For every little conversation, I'm always bringing that type or that or some stuff that people might call me a conspiracy theorist for, but they expect that from me. They don't care. They still be wanting me to come around. So
Right.
they
And I
learn to
think
put
you
up
should
with me.
just, whenever the occasion is, still bring it up. Still bring it up. Like, look, this right here, the men need to understand because the men are the progenitors of this thought, right? Of the other day, I did a video. I put a video up here, and I noticed people are like, yeah, they watched it. I can see what analytics is like. Nah, I don't want to watch this no more. And it was to the man saying, oh, it's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks. The doctors cleared you. And I was sharing that in my studies in other countries, 6 weeks is not the time for you to clear the woman for the man. That shows that the man has lack of self control,
Oh, you mean
right?
for them to start having relations again
Right.
after pregnancy? Okay.
Exactly. 6 weeks. It takes 9 months plus, almost 10 months for your body to prepare to bring
Hmm.
forth life. How did that all get fixed in 6 weeks?
Yeah.
And so you have what happens is that it compounds the issue. The child that because the wisdom is gone, the child that you have doesn't get nursed. They don't get this, they don't get that. Why? Because now the mother has conceived again. But because
Hmm.
society is not looking down on you like in other societies, you think it's okay. You got one in the stroller, one in the hand, you know what I mean? And you struggling. It's because we're not using common sense. And the
Yeah.
man is the one who's oftentimes she's not ready. He's not thinking that. Oh, it's for instance, if you plant corn and it's time to plant corn, and you just harvested the corn, you don't go planting corn 2 weeks later. You just pull
Especially
all the corn out the ground. You're like, oh, time to plant some more corn. Like what?
Yeah, especially because the seeds. I'm just learning all that stuff right now too. I just started gardening and stuff like that. I'm trying to be a little urban
All
farmer,
right
and yeah, yeah, I'm happy with it too. I got chickens and everything like that, but
Oh, go ahead
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, no, I'm learning that myself. At first I was like, I want tomatoes, just plant
Right.
tomatoes. Be like, this is not tomato season, you know what
It's
I mean?
not
So
tomato season.
nah,
It's and I think that the disconnection from the earth is what has thrown because the man's first occupation was to till the ground. So being disconnected from this it is this is why everything is out of order because he doesn't have this reference, this teacher in front of him, which is nature, to let him know that you're out of pocket. That's not how this works.
yeah,
So he's approaching even in the animal kingdom. They like to compare to lions. There's a time and if the woman has the cubs or the lioness has the cubs, then there's nothing going down for like 2 years
hmm,
until the cubs are able to grow up and do what it is that they need to do. Not before then. So I might say that to say that when you start having real conversations, people sometimes tune out. But it's so good. We still have the conversation. And with the
it's planting
sister with the
seeds.
pendulum, tell her to chill out with that stuff.
I don't know what I can do about that one, man. For real, I don't know. I'll just probably leave it alone.
Yeah, tell her, yo, son, chill out with that stuff. Because,
Yeah,
on the internet, they be telling them talk to spirit guides and all this kind of thing. I'm like, how do you even know who that is, fam?
it's
How do you
really
know who
common
that
though.
is?
You don't know how many women I talked to. I'll say within the past few years that they tell me that there was but doing. One lady told me she did a Zoom call with a shaman. I was like, damn,
Oh,
shamans
my
doing Zoom
mercy.
calls now.
I
Yeah,
can't,
they'll
not the
all
room
type.
called shaman. He got a
For
cash
real,
app,
all type.
cash app, the
Yeah, I guess
shaman.com.
so. I
Let me
don't
find
know,
out.
man. Yeah, a lot of them though. A lot of them. Yeah.
Because, women
Or
are
oh, go ahead, go
intuitive
ahead.
and do have spiritual inclinations, but because it's misguided at the space and time, then she's a vessel in certain respects. And so these spiritual entities oftentimes move through, just like blessings and spirituality can move through women from the creator, so can these other entities. You understand? Because she is a receptive oftentimes more so than the men. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's something to be careful. That's why you see a lot of women caught up. A lot of women caught up. And especially if the masculine energy is causing injury, which is what is happening in this space and time, she's gonna look to other places for answers. You understand? So he's supposed to one who's supposed to be able to be like, you know what, sis, don't eat that. But now she doesn't trust him either. So then she's going to rebel against him because his job is to remind her. That man is male is a car. He's supposed to remind her. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. He can't remind her because he has stepped out of alignment. It's a lot going on.
Yeah,
That's just
I like this series you got going with with breaking down the I don't know Book of Samuel right here with the whole story of Saul and David. I like this.
well. Thank you, brother. I liked it too because coming back to it, I was like, this is some interesting stuff right here.
Have you ever thought
Just
about doing it's not as long as this, so you're not gonna get as much content out of it. But the whole story of Joseph with his brothers, that's an interesting
yeah,
one
that's a
too.
good one. That's a good one. The Joseph situation is interesting. I'll come. Yeah, I think Joseph is a good one. I don't know why I started this one. I don't even. I'll have to listen back to the first episode because I was on one. I don't remember why I wanted to get into Saul and David, but I'm glad I did because it really just allows us to look at just relationship dynamics. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And how they play out. As you can see, Saul was he took advantage of his position and the fact that David was not going to push back on him. You know what I mean? To continue instead of taking personal responsibility. It's like the parent who blames the child. You know what I mean? Instead of taking personal responsibility for the part they played. And so you kind of see that play out in the whole David and Saul situation.
Yeah, yeah, because as you reading
So
this and you giving your twist on the breakdown, I'm seeing myself and I'm seeing other people on both ends. I'm not gonna sit over here and be like,
right,
oh, I'm the good guy. You know what I mean? I'm seeing
right,
myself
right.
on both ends, so it's interesting. I like the way you break down the stuff too. Gives me a more I don't know up like current type of perspective on the situation. It's
Right.
funny too.
Yeah, I've been trying. Yeah, yeah, I've been cracking myself up. My apologies. Some people like she's
Yeah,
laughing
you
too
good.
much. If I can't make it, like you said, if I can't bring it current, then I can't relate to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you're disconnected from that experience, right? And then therefore you're not able to learn. But if you make it relatable, then we can learn. It's like when I talk to my children, like, "Mommy, I love your Bible study." They be pumping me up on Shabbat. I be like, "Let me go to sleep,
yeah.
man." They
Okay.
they're like, no, we want more, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it as well, and we finished this chapter. No, we're not finished. Are we finished this chapter? Let me see. Hold on. I think we are. Is this the end right here? If it is, then I'll consider the conversation with no. We have 29. I think it goes to 30. I'll consider we got one more installment, and then we can look at David. We can look at that because there's a lot of meat over there too. There's a lot of meat with that Joseph, yeah, with the Joseph situation. It's very similar in some ways. Yeah, we have one more installment, so it's gonna be number 8 because I think this chapter ends in 30.
all right.
All right, LF, stay safe, stay away from them
Okay.
pendulums, man.
Okay, I will. All right, have a good night.
All right, good night.
Bye.
Shalom. All right, all right. Thank everybody for tuning in. Like I just double checked, we have one more installment. And if there's something else you want me to take a look at, let me know and we could put it on the roster. But definitely I think that Joseph and Jacob situation is something to look at. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and wind down. I have been overutilizing my voice lately. So I'm gonna go ahead and rest up and then we'll come back and have it. What's today? Tuesday? Probably, hopefully before the end of the week, we could come in and tap in again. And also, if you've been enjoying the Black Fortune series, I'm gonna have to come back and read that as well because that's interesting. You understand? So everybody have a blessed night, and we'll talk soon. Oh yeah, by the way, I'll come back and talk about that. Everybody have a blessed night.